I know what kind of politics I believe in, what I want to win, and it's my job, it's our job in this campaign to make sure that an authentic, substantive, people power campaign wins out. What I like about where we are right now, the polls show it's a dead heat. And there are a lot of people who are undecided. And the reason they're undecided is because unlike you all, the highest voting precinct in the state of Colorado, most people tune in when they get their ballot. And they say, oh, there's an election. Who's on the ballot? Then they open up the ballot and they say, oh, governor. I didn't realize General Phil was done. I'm not kidding. And then they'll say, Michael Bennett. Oh, yeah, he's been around a while. Phil Weiser. That sounds new and interesting. Let me learn more. By the way, the best way anyone can learn more is you guys. Because the ads often get too late. I've been endorsed by the Durango area. It's a beautiful endorsement. It says Phil Weiser has crisscrossed all 64 counties, building meaningful relationships all across the state. But people tune that out too. But you know what people tune in? Other people they trust. And everyone in your life says, Sharon's the person I listen to about who to vote for. Because she eats cake. And I trust her. I know that's true about Italian, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you for going to the teachers and for another retired teacher.
Let me talk about that. And just, how do you notice that, by the way?
Well, because I'm not a member of the teachers.
We're doing a Teamsters Get Out the Vote rally in a couple weeks. I want to talk about that endorsement, that action, and that relationship. When I heard about the merger proposed between Kroger and Albertsons, I said I need to go across Colorado to listen to people. And a lot of the workers, either Teamsters or USCW workers, showed up. That Joe, we not become friends, he showed up at 7 town hall. And some of Tom Olson, USCW workers, told me he showed up at 12. And what I am so impressed from Teamsters and the USCW grocery workers I met, how much they care about customers. And a lot of them, when they were there, they were saying, I'm worried about my job, but I'm more worried about seniors I know who might be living in a grocery desert and who couldn't get fresh food. That's what Tom Olson said, the cold is gone. When I heard about this lockout without pay in Fort Morgan, I said, I've got to be there. And I was there for USCW up in the meat packing plant in Greeley as well. And I've been there with USCW, and they're on strike in Safeway. What I want people to know is my true north is about fighting for people. That's why I put such an emphasis on really showing up and listening to what people have to say, and viewing my job description as Attorney General as being the people's voice. And my job description as governor is be the people's governor, just like Roy Warren was waiting for. Yeah.
Are they able to take Colorado voting records for, because Trump wants to see all the mail-in voting records? Can they do that?
Not if I have anything to say about it. I'm in litigation. My suit about is the executive order. You are correct. Trump would like to control elections. The Constitution says something else. The Constitution says states control the time, place, and manner of election. And his latest effort to try to control elections through the post office is something we're battling in court. And we're going to keep Colorado control their elections. Our gold standard, the mail-in ballot, is to be protected, and I'm not going to give in to their nonsense. Other questions you got for me? I got questions for you too, so what are people saying when you talk about governor's race?
What are they saying?
Yeah, you talk to someone, you say, what do you think about this governor's race? What would they say? We're not.
It's been around for a while.
Yeah, serious. And then, do you ever try, like, hey, maybe we could use somebody new?
A lot of people want, like, I talk to you on Friday.
Yeah.
And I think what's appealing about you is your legal background.
Yeah.
And it would be fun to spend that long. So, I'm going to be fun.
Did you see we did one of our ads with RPG in it?
I don't want that.
Someone did see it.
Yeah. I would love.
Thank you.
I want to know why everything that's going on nationally, he feels he would be, it's okay to give up his tenure. And in the Senate.
It's not okay.
It's not.
Anyone who watched the debate last week?
Yeah. You want.
Yeah. By the way, this is what it feels like to have a base in politics. Just, you know, I've come here time and again, you guys have been great. I will say on the debate, it was interesting how we leaned into the line. Coloradans can vote for me to be governor, keep Michael Bennet in the Senate, and make both of our moms happy. Sounds simple to me. Absolutely. Listen, 17 years of experience, expertise, seniority in the U.S. Senate. If we get a brand new U.S. Senator starting next fall, we wouldn't have that level of seniority until 2044. Why would you throw it?
I'm ready. How are you?
Great. So, it doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, I've got all this experience at the state level, these deep relationships. If I don't win this race, I'm taking off the field. I'm not going to be elected public service anymore. There's a Jim Collins, he's a management guy, says, you want the right people on the bus in the right seat on the bus. The right seat for Michael Bennet is in the Senate. The right seat for me is governor. That's what Colorado can do. Just in a couple weeks. And for those of you who didn't catch it, there's now a John Oliver thing about the Republican debate. It's pretty clear what you all know, which is the next governor will be selected in the Democratic primary in less than 3 weeks. Love John Oliver. By the way, John Oliver talked about the work I did on the opioid crisis. So all these states got these opioid settlement funds, and a lot of states really screwed up with the funds. They weren't transparent how the money was spent. They were spent on things of the opioid crisis. John Oliver goes through and makes fun of them all. And then he says, 2 states, Colorado and North Carolina, set the gold standard. Chairman, do you know why North Carolina is on that list with Colorado? Because their then Attorney General, now Governor, Steve Pattern. Josh Stein called me up, and Josh said, how did you do this in Colorado? And I'll tell you what I did. I reached out to local leaders, and I asked them, how do we spend these opioid settlement funds so we address the crisis? And they said, how about helping us get the money quickly, not having to go through a lot of BS bureaucracy? And I said, okay, we'll give you 90% of the money to local and regional level. You get the money right away. You then report on how all the money was spent. It has to be new programs and has to be the crisis. And once a year we get together at a conference and talk about what's working. The last 2 years in Colorado, we have reduced opioid overdose deaths by over 20%. Narcan, smart. That's part of what's working. We're getting it out everywhere. Yeah.
Will you follow Police's lead in expanding prisons and punitive incarceration?
No. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. And this is one of the big motivating issues for me because I've been one of the things that is both frustrating and preparing about being Attorney General. I'm prepared to be governor because I'm watching closely what's happening. I'm frustrated because I'm watching closely what's happening. Here's what's really frustrating. We in Colorado right now, when someone's incarcerated, are not helping to give them skills so that when they leave, they can get a job and build a life for themselves. We instead are giving them $45 and we say good luck, which means we shouldn't be surprised if they end up homeless, if they end end up going back to using substances if they end up committing crime, which happens 45% of the time. They commit crime, end up back in prison within 3 years. It's called the recidivism rate. The national average for that, 37%. If we could only be average, we wouldn't be talking about in prison. We'd be saving money. We'd be safer and helping people build better lives. That's what I'm going to focus on in our next session.
I just got a notice today that the president is pulling out of Colorado, and just curious what your position is on all of that, because I know there's other companies.
Now, I believe they're not selling on the exchange. I don't know if they're pulling out entirely. The question to look at, are they pulling out individual plans? They're not offering individual plans on the exchange. I believe that they have a group plan with an employer. I don't know that they're pulling out. Does that make sense? Yeah, I hear a lot about that. That matters, but I just wanted to clarify the distinction. A lot of people get their insurance on one of these health exchanges, Colorado out there their own. And having multiple providers on the exchange is really important. So people can have choices. We need to make sure we do all we can to have competition within healthcare and not have people literally have very few choices where they can turn. And so one of the challenges is how do we set up an environment where we can have as much competition, as much innovation in healthcare, and not have only select companies control it. One of my areas, legal expertise, is also competition expertise and innovation expertise. I'm going to make sure to bring that to healthcare, because our system is too often broken. A lot of the way it works is instead of helping people stay healthy, we wait till they get sick and make a whole bunch of money off them, and then we leave them with medical debt. We got to do a whole lot better.
Will you essentially close private loans?
Yes.
I just want to ask a question. I'm interested in how big possible distribution is called. Okay.
All right, let me talk about housing, and I want to talk about the following goal that I am going to set and drive a shape for. If you are a teacher in any community, you need to make sure you can afford to buy a home in the community where you teach. You could, by the way, substitute police officer or firefighter or nurse. It's the same idea. To do that, we have to have starter homes, home ownership that is attainable. Could be condominiums, could be townhomes. Right now, we are not building these starter homes. My commitment is to change it. The way to change it is create support and incentives to build this type of housing. Which means, if you're going to build a quadplex or a townhome, we need to change the permitting fees so that they incentivize that building as opposed to a mega mansion. And right now, the two are often the same. Also, permitting time. Let's make it as fast-tracked as possible for those starter homes and not keep people waiting because literally time is money. And then finally, let's lead into innovation homes, which modular homes, pre-built homes, that can be 20% cheaper, 30% quicker. Look at the way I've led on the open crisis. A statewide initiative around statewide goals, lower overdose deaths, a range of tools to help meet these, bringing people together to solve the problem. That's type of leadership I'm bringing out. I'm going to ask for all the questions together, and I'm going to answer them all together. So, go ahead.
Teachers, as you know, aren't paid great, and 75% of them are women. And charter school teachers do not have collective bargaining. If charter school teachers pursue collective bargaining, would you help to support them?
Yes.
What do we do to keep detention centers out of Colorado?
Great question. Yes.
New Mexico
Any other questions? These are two great ones. Yes. Yeah, she's good first. I'm gonna get that. Thank you. I love that. Thank you for that question. That all I know now. Okay, first, I got sued yesterday by the Geo Group, one of these facilities. And what they're trying to say is Colorado doesn't have the public health inspection and oversight authority over these facilities. Bullshit. Yeah, they're in our state. These entities have to follow our laws. The way I will protect Colorado and ensure either that they're not set up or that they're operating properly is using that public health authority. I know how to use it. I will use it. You may have seen this in the debate. Senator Bennett didn't have great answers on this. And in fact, by the way, he voted to increase ICE's funding all 4 years in Trump's first term. He voted for the person who pushed the family separation policy, and he voted to give ICE more authority the day Trump was inaugurated. So he's now saying he's going to stand up for ICE. He hasn't. And at the debate, I'm the one who made this key point. It's the answer to this issue. Next point is our kids' future. And I am very passionate on the housing issue. We have to address it. I'm also very passionate on this issue. We are not serving our kids right now. And I love the phrase you use, from cradle to career. There's a group called Rocky Mountain Partnership in Colorado, building on this model. You are right to pick up when New Mexico's done. To make those investments, which I'm committed to, we have got to change Tabor. Question that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you how I'm going to change Tabor. I'm going to go across Colorado, like I did with the King Super Safeway merger channel, and have a set of civic assemblies telling the public we have these current fiscal restrictions. Now, by the way, the public supports Tabor, 61%. Because they say, I like voting on taxes, and I need to keep the state honest. I want to say, your right to vote on taxes is not going anywhere. That's settled. But there's two other legs in the Tabor stool. What type of taxes? Do we have a progressive income tax? Tabor says no, I think we should. There's also an idea of a mansion tax. Tabor says no, let's look at it. And then third is hard tax, which is so painful because it prevents the investments we need. What have we done over the last 15 years? Disinvest in education. The so-called BS factor, which is BS, that stands for Bus Stabilization. What I want to do is invest in our schools, pay teachers what they're worth, addressing the student-to-teacher ratio, investing in early child care, investing in career and technical training, youth mental health, mentoring, and more. By making those investments and by telling the public, look what we can get from it, making sure kids are reading at third grade level, in third grade, doing math at eighth grade level, eighth grade, building the skills they need to get a good job. This is my commitment. I'm going to need your help. It's going to take a lot of work. That starts next January when it comes out. Final point. How do I make it there? How do we get everyone to vote for me, including independents? Who here has got their ballot already? I do. And I live not far from you. It should be there today or tomorrow. I'm going to tell you. I'm aware of you. I'm aware. And I'm voting anyway. You're going to get two choices. To vote the Republican ballot or the Democrat ballot. I think I said this before you came in. Vote the Democrat ballot because that's the one that's going to decide who our next governor is. The Republican Party in Colorado has trashed its brand. Trump is toxic. The action happens in the Democratic primary. You have two choices. One of them belongs staying in the Senate where he is. One of which is ready to serve. The way you all can make a difference. Obviously, you all do vote. But as I said earlier, don't just vote and go to the Democratic primary. Tell people. Post on social media. I know you said you're giving us money. It matters right now. We're up against a lot of this big money, corporate money, that I want to get out of politics when I'm done. We are doing this the right way. You are a part of it. Thank you all for your engagement, your time, and your leadership. I appreciate you all. Thank you. meeting.